Before we even step into this courtroom, here's what you need to know. This is not just another drug case. This is a story about repeat offenses, broken second chances, and a judge who has clearly seen this pattern before. The defendant, Samantha Venegas, isn't new to the system. We're talking about a history of prison time, revoked probation, and multiple chances to turn things around, chances that, according to the court, were repeatedly wasted. Now here's where it gets intense. This case involves over 400 grams of drugs, a quantity that instantly raises the stakes from personal use to serious trafficking implications. But the defense is painting a very different picture. A woman trapped by addiction, manipulated by circumstances, and trying, perhaps too late, to change. So the big question is she a victim of her environment or someone who knowingly kept making the same dangerous choices? Stick with us, because this judge is about to break it all down, and the outcome may not be what the defense is hoping for.
As a trafficker of drugs. That's what it says in the police report. 5 years. I know that was in 2007, 2014, and for another case, 2015, you were sent to prison. It appeared that you would be a good candidate for probation, and then you pick up more cases. Why do you keep failing at probation? You're building your happiness off somebody else's misery. The amount of drugs, over 400 grams.
Yes, ma'am. May I say something?
All right, the court is calling 2024 CR 008052, State versus Samantha Venegas. Could I have parties announced?
Jason Garrett, from State, Your Honor.
Denny Callahan, defense.
And are you Miss Venegas?
Yes, ma'am.
You entered a plea to count 2 on March 26. You entered a plea of no contest. According to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 15 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. State opposes your application for community supervision and deferred adjudication. They're taking in consideration 2024 CR 008054. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report and TAP evaluation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, before I hear argument, there are some things that defense maybe you can address with the court. It says in the PSI that her guilt is minimized. And I did read where she's saying that the vehicle's not hers. She knew there was drugs in the trunk, but she didn't throw them away. She didn't do anything about it. So I don't know if there's any insight you would like to give on that.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's a good inference from the stipulations and the PSI that she was used as a pawn, taking advantage of her poverty and her addictions to methamphetamine. And she's ashamed of that in her life, not only you, but more particularly to her family. There is an element of voluntariness in her actions. There's also an element of being trapped in her actions. And that was one of the things I would ask the court to consider before you assess punishment. I have 3 other remarks.
All right, you may proceed.
And I suggest to the court as a proper resolution of this case, because she's still relatively young, deferred adjudication, 10 years, ISF treatment, and she asks you to put her into drug court, which is intensive supervision for every day. That shows some indication of remorse and desire to be rehabilitated.
All right, so here's part of my issue.
This is a critical turning point in the hearing. The defense is pushing hard for rehabilitation over punishment, highlighting addiction, poverty, and the idea that she was used as a pawn. And to be fair, courts do consider those factors, especially when discussing alternatives like deferred adjudication or drug court programs, which are designed to rehabilitate rather than incarcerate. But here's the problem, and the judge is already signaling it. Criminal history matters a lot. In fact, it's one of the biggest factors when deciding whether someone is a good candidate for probation. Think of it exactly like the judge said, a credit report. If you've defaulted multiple times before, the court is going to be skeptical about giving you another chance. So now the tension builds. Does her past completely outweigh her present claims of change? Or is there still room for redemption here?
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
One, I have to look at criminal history. And I would have clients sometimes, you know what they would tell me? Why are people looking at my criminal history? We're just here for this. That was in the past. But I would always tell them that your criminal history is sort of like a credit report. And what you're trying to get is probation. So people are trying to say, has she been placed on probation before? Will she do well? So it shows that you've been on probation before, and a motion to revoke was filed, and you were revoked and sentenced to 5 years. I know that was in 2007.
Right.
And then in 2014, you were sent to prison for another case. And in 2015, there's a case that you were sent to prison for, and I believe these were running concurrently because it appears that they were running concurrently. And then 2016, again, that's a case. It was running concurrently with the others. So what I'm viewing, it doesn't appear that you would be a good candidate for probation.
May I say something?
Sure. You want to raise your right hand, though, because the state may have some questions if you want to say something. All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. You can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Samantha Venegas. I know, okay, I did, in 2010, I went to prison. I was going to get reinstated on probation, but I took it up with my grandfather, and my grandfather wanted me to go do the time instead of being reinstated on my probation, because he was scared that I was going to get messed up again and go do a large number of time, and he was going to pass away.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 29, 30. And so that's why I chose that. I chose that because my grandpa asked me to do that, and he ended up passing away 6 months before my release. But that is why I was going to get reinstated. At the time, my attorney was William Reese, and they were going to reinstate me and send me home, but my grandfather asked me to get it over with. That is why I went to prison.
All right. So you're telling me that I could understand maybe there being pressure on you with saying, oh, let me listen to my grandfather and take this time. But at the time you were 29, 30. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other cases, because you got out of prison and then you pick up more cases.
In 2014, I revoked. I have my parole, and I went back to ISF for the last 3 months of my my parole, and then that was done with that. And then in 2016, I went to prison again in 2016, and then I revoked and went back to safety, and I came out and I completed the rest of my probation.
Okay.
Now we're hearing directly from the defendant, and this is where things get complicated emotionally. She's trying to explain her past decisions, bringing up her grandfather, her struggles with alcohol and drugs, and the idea that some of her choices were influenced by family pressure or personal hardship. But here's the reality. The judge isn't just listening for emotion, she's listening for accountability. And there's a subtle difference between explaining your past and taking full responsibility for it. Notice how the judge keeps circling back to one key issue: pattern behavior. It's not just about one mistake, it's about repeated violations, failed probations, and continued involvement in criminal activity even after serving time. That raises a tough but important question for anyone watching. At what point does the system stop offering second chances? And how many chances are too many?
Why do you keep failing at probation?
Of it with parole, the second.
Well, I mean, you failed at probation and you failed at parole. Why?
The first time when I was younger, I really don't have, I made some poor choices in my life back then, and I was young, I was ignorant.
But no, for the case that you said the first case, you said, I just agreed to be revoked because of my grandfather.
Yeah.
All right. You're telling me then you were 29.
Yes, I didn't go report.
All
I
right.
didn't go report, and I had a drinking problem back then.
Okay.
And back then I would use cocaine a little, and but I had a heavy drinking problem. So I was young, I was stupid, I was living in the bars basically. And I wasn't, keep out there running the streets or nothing like that. I just didn't want to go report. And that was my biggest downfall right there. If I would have just went and reported and went and taken a UA, everything would have been okay. My life would have been a little bit, different. The other time, when I got out, I violated parole. It was because I came out of dirty UA.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because I understand your past. Do you know the amount of drugs this was, the weight of it?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
It's a lot, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can continue.
My life, for a while, I was just, I made a lot of mistakes and I'm not proud of it. I'm very sorry for them. If I could take them all back, I would. Now that I'm older, now that I see things differently, and trust me, this opened my eyes. I was doing a lot, you know. I was just trying to, this last offense I was something, it was just, I was trying to, you know, get by, pay my bills. I was stuck in it. I was just trying to get out of it. And I see now that what it cost me, what it could cost me. And I apologize for that.
No, but here's the thing. You had a previous drug case.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't understand why you continue to try to build your happiness off somebody else's misery. And when you sell drugs, that's basically what you're doing. You're taking a shortcut and you're building your happiness off somebody else's misery who has a drug addiction and can't stop. And there you are giving them drugs for money.
Right, you're right.
This is where the case takes a decisive turn, and honestly, it's not looking good for the defense. The judge shifts focus to the impact of drug distribution, and this is a powerful moment. She's not just talking about laws, she's talking about consequences. When she says, "You're building your happiness off somebody else's misery," that's more than a statement, it's a moral judgment. And in cases involving drug trafficking, especially at this scale, courts often take a much harder stance because of the broader harm to the community. And then comes the contradiction that really hurts the defendant's credibility. She claims the drugs weren't hers, but admits she knew they were there and had access to them. That's a major legal problem, because knowledge plus control, your responsibility in many cases.
All right, State, do you have any questions?
Just facts of this case.
Okay.
Ms. Venegas, on this case, you stated that the drugs weren't yours or the drugs were somebody else's.
It wasn't mine, it was in the vehicle.
All right, could you speak up, please?
It wasn't mine, it was in the vehicle. But I was aware that it was in it, and I should have gotten rid of it.
So you're
When I
aware that
located
you had a
it.
key in your pocket that matched the lock to the box that the drugs were in, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, no further question, Your Honor.
Nothing further. I have one other point, Your Honor.
Yes.
She has family support and was unable to get finalized letters into your hand indicating that support. That's all, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Venegas,
Yes, ma'am.
the amount of drugs in this case
Yes, ma'am.
is, let me see, over 400 grams.
Yes, ma'am.
And from what I read in the police report, you're a seller of drugs. And this whole thing about the drugs being in your boyfriend's car and you don't know, you knew the drugs were in your boyfriend's car and you should have got rid of them, but you didn't. It doesn't ring true based upon what I read in the police report, because according to the police report, you're known as a trafficker of drugs. That's what it says in the police report. And that's what was stipulated to. I don't think you're a good candidate for probation. The court is going to find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 15 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. Time and money will run concurrently. The court will take in consideration 2024 CR 008054. I'll suggest the Therapeutic Community.
Thank you.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, good luck to you.
May I address the court? She would
Yes.
like drug therapy.
All right, I'll add the Therapeutic Community.
And one more thing, Your Honor.
Yes.
Would the court entertain a delay in imposition of sentence 1 week and let her go and take care of her affairs?
And just like that, the judge makes her decision. 15 years in prison, a $2,000 fine, and no probation. A firm, definitive ruling that reflects not just the severity of the current offense, but the weight of the defendant's entire criminal history. From a legal standpoint, this outcome sends a clear message. Repeat offenses and failed probation attempts drastically reduce your chances of leniency. Even when factors like addiction and hardship are presented, they may not outweigh a long pattern of noncompliance. The court did, however, recommend a therapeutic community program, which suggests there's still some hope for rehabilitation, but it will happen behind bars, not in the community. This case leaves us with a powerful takeaway. The justice system may offer second chances, but it keeps track of how you use them. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think the sentence was fair, or should the court have given her another chance at rehabilitation? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.
No.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.